In the mountains of Ventura County, California, 90 minutes north of Los Angeles, there is a place that does not appear on any map. There is no sign on the road. No visitors are allowed. Just 20 acres of forest and dirt and silence, surrounded by 3,000 acres of protected wilderness that stretch in every direction like a wall between this place and the rest of the world. On this land, wolves run. Wolves who spent years chained to posts in Alaska, unable to touch another living thing. Wolves who were bred on fur farms in Minnesota and kept in concrete cages no larger than a bathroom. A wolf who was used to test explosive devices, who arrived with bloodied paws and a spirit so shattered that no one expected her to survive. She is still here. She rolls on her back in the dirt now and waits for someone to rub her belly. And beside these wolves, feeding them, cleaning their enclosures, sleeping within earshot of their howls every night, live men who came from a darkness every bit as deep. Men who served their country, who were sent to the other side of the world and came back changed, who came home and discovered that home did not feel like home anymore, not because it had changed, because they had. No therapist asks them to speak here. No medication is distributed. No program runs on a clinical schedule. There is only this: wolves and men, silence, and time. And something that no one has been able to fully explain but that works. A wolf will choose a man, not because it was trained to, not because 15,000 years of domestication programmed it to trust. A wolf, an animal with no obligation to care, will press its snout into a stranger's hand and decide that this human is worth saving. And that man will discover something that no one ever told him. The thing that heals is not someone who understands your pain. It is someone who carries the same one. This story is real. Every name is verifiable. Every fact is documented. A feature-length documentary was filmed at this sanctuary over the course of an entire year. I did not know it existed until I began researching it. I did not know that broken wolves were capable of healing the people who were supposed to be the strongest among us, and I did not know that the strongest among us needed healing this badly. This is the story of the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center, and the wolves and warriors who saved each other. If you are new to this channel, let me tell you why we are here. Wild Heart Stories exists to find the true stories that the world needs to hear, and to tell them the way they deserve to be told. Not quickly, not carelessly, with every fact verified, every source cited, every detail earned. We tell these stories for people who believe that animals carry something sacred inside them. Something the world is too busy to notice. If these stories matter to you, subscribe, stay, because what you are about to hear took a long time to research, and we tell it for people like you. We have told you about 21 elephants who walked 12 hours through the African bush to say goodbye to a man who saved them. We have told you about a lion raised in a London furniture shop who ran down a hill in Kenya to embrace the men who set him free. We have told you about a black wolf in Alaska who chose to trust an entire town for 6 winters. But we have never told a story like this one, because this is not a story about an animal who remembers a human, or an animal who loves a human. This is a story about an animal who heals one. An animal that does what years of therapy and medication and programs could not do. Not because those things do not work, but because for some people, in some darkness, the cure does not come from words. It comes from presence, from being chosen by something that does not owe you a thing. What does it mean when 2 beings, both built by the world to protect, both punished by the world for doing exactly that, find each other in a place no one knows about? What does it mean when neither of them can speak, and the silence between them becomes the only thing that works? To understand what happens at this sanctuary, we need to go back to what the world did to the wolf, and back to what the world does to the people who fight its wars. The gray wolf once roamed nearly every corner of the North American continent. From the Arctic Circle to the deserts of Mexico, from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific, wolves were the most widely distributed land predator on Earth. They lived in packs of 6 to 15. They raised their young together. They mourned their dead. They communicated across miles with howls that carried through forests and over mountain ranges. They were, by every measure, the engineers of balance, the animal responsible for keeping ecosystems healthy. Herds strong, rivers clean, forests alive. And then we decided they were the enemy. In the 19th century, the United States government launched one of the most systematic extermination campaigns in the history of wildlife. Bounties were placed on wolf heads. Poison was scattered across the plains. Steel-jawed traps were set by the thousands. Entire packs were destroyed, pups included. The logic was simple and absolute. The wolf is a predator. Predators threaten livestock. Eliminate the predator. By the 1970s, fewer than 1,000 gray wolves remained in the lower 48 states. A species that once numbered in the hundreds of thousands had been driven to scattered remnants hiding in the northernmost corners of Minnesota and Michigan. The worldwide wolf population had fallen by more than 90%. But even that was not enough. Today, wolves are still hunted across multiple American states, shot from helicopters, caught in leg-hold traps, poisoned. In some states, there is no limit on how many can be killed. The animal that holds the forest together is still treated as the animal that must be destroyed. And while this was happening in the wild, something quieter and arguably darker was happening behind fences. A captive industry grew. Roadside attractions where wolves were chained to posts for tourists to photograph. Fur farms where they were bred in rows of wire cages. Backyard breeders who sold wolf-dog hybrids as exotic pets and abandoned them when they grew too large or too wild to handle. And when these animals ended up in shelters, the law was clear. Wolf DNA means death. The wolf was built to protect balance. And the world punished it for being exactly what it was born to be. Now, the other side of this story. A young man enlists. He is 18, maybe 19. He joins a unit. He trains alongside people who become closer to him than anyone he has ever known. Closer than friends, closer than family, closer than anyone back home will ever understand. He learns to move as part of a group. To sleep as part of a group. To eat, to think, to breathe as part of a group. His unit becomes his pack. He deploys. He sees things. He does things. Things that are complicated and things that leave marks, and things that do not fit neatly into the stories people tell about heroism. And then one day, he comes home. The streets are the same. The house is the same. The faces are familiar. But something is wrong. Everything feels too loud and too quiet at the same time. The things that used to matter do not matter anymore. The people who love him do not understand what happened to him. And he cannot explain it because the words for it do not exist. His pack, the people who understood without asking, are scattered across the country, fighting their own versions of the same invisible battle. This is not weakness. This is what happens when the mind carries too much. The human mind was not designed to carry what combat demands and then return to a world that pretends none of it happened. And when that weight becomes too heavy to carry alone, the options are limited. Therapy helps many. Medication reaches many. Programs support many. But for some, for those who have tried everything and found that nothing quite reaches the place where the hurt lives, the system runs out of answers. Every year, thousands of American veterans find themselves in a darkness that no program has been able to reach. The Department of Veterans Affairs knows this. The numbers are documented. And those numbers are the reason that a psychologist and a Navy veteran decided to build something no one had ever tried before. In the mountains above Los Angeles, with wolves. In 2005, at the West Los Angeles Veterans Affairs Medical Center, a clinical psychologist named Lauren Lindner noticed something unexpected. The veterans in her care, men dealing with trauma, with isolation, with the invisible injuries that followed them home from war, responded differently around broken animals. not service dogs with certificates and handlers, rescued creatures, damaged ones. Parrots that had been abused and abandoned. Birds that screamed and bit and pulled out their own feathers from stress. She created a program called Serenity Park inside the VA grounds, a sanctuary where traumatized veterans cared for traumatized parrots. The results were remarkable. The veterans were not just helping the birds were helping the veterans. Something about caring for a creature that carried its own wounds unlocked what clinical settings could not. At the VA, Lindner met Matt Simmons, a Navy veteran who had served in Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Simmons carried his own invisible injuries from the Gulf. They fell in love. They married. And in 2008, Simmons received a phone call.
Stay exactly where you are.
A wolf dog was about to be destroyed at a local animal shelter, not because he was aggressive, not because he was sick, because he had wolf DNA. That was the policy. Wolf blood meant death. Simmons drove to the shelter and found the animal. Trembling, terrified, strapped to a cold steel table, minutes from a needle. His name was Wiley. Simmons picked him up and walked out the door. When he brought Wiley to the VA, everything changed. The doctors acted differently. The veterans in his support group acted differently. The security guard acted differently. And so did Simmons. Not because of a program, not because of a protocol. Because of a half-wild animal who should have been dead. Simmons and Lindner had already purchased a remote 20-acre property in Frazier Park in the mountains of Ventura County, initially to rescue abused horses. After Wiley, the purpose of that land became clear. They began rescuing wolves and wolf dogs from shelters, roadside attractions, fur farms, and backyard breeders. Bob Barker and Nancy Burnett helped purchase 3,000 surrounding acres of wilderness as a permanent buffer. In 2009, the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center was born. It began with one wolf dog. It would grow to nearly 100 animals, and it would become the only program of its kind in the world. The wolves of the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center did not arrive with tails wagging. They arrived broken. Keihei was a gray wolf rescued from a roadside attraction in Alaska. 29 wolves and wolf dogs lived on that property, each one chained to a post on a half-acre lot. They could not touch each other. They could not run. They could not do the single thing that defines what a wolf is, exist as part of a pack. When visitors paid to enter, the wolves had nowhere to hide. When breeding season came, they were mated through chain-link fences. Keihei's name means open spaces in Hawaiian. It was given to him by someone who dreamed for him the life he had never known. Bronco Billy came from the same place, rescued in 2011 with help from Bob Barker and the ASPCA. Years later, at the sanctuary, he still does not trust easily. But he has learned something he never knew before, that a human hand on his belly does not mean harm. He seeks it now. He asks for it. A wolf who spent years chained to a post now asks to be touched. Then there was the wolf who was used to test explosive devices. She had been bred in captivity and forced to trigger improvised traps. She arrived at the sanctuary with bloodied paws and a spirit that seemed beyond repair. Today, she rolls on her back in the California sun and waits. The transformation is so complete that new volunteers refuse to believe what she survived. Big Boy arrived from a place that would later become infamous. The Greater Wynwood Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma. The facility at the center of the documentary Tiger King. Before that, he had been at a wolf fur farm in Minnesota. He came to the sanctuary severely underweight, with an untreated ear infection, terrified of men. His recovery is not measured in weeks or months. It is measured in years. Every wolf at this sanctuary carries a wound. And every wolf, given time and space and patience, begins to do something remarkable. They begin to trust again. Stop for a moment. Think about what you just heard. A wolf chained to a post. A wolf in a concrete cage. A wolf used to test explosives. Animals built to roam territories spanning hundreds of square miles, reduced to spaces no larger than a closet. Animals built to live in packs of 15. Forced to exist alone. Animals built to protect the balance of entire ecosystems, treated as property to be used and discarded. Now think about this. A soldier trained to operate as part of a unit. A soldier who ate, slept, moved, and breathed as part of a group that became more than family. A soldier whose entire identity was built around belonging to something larger than himself. And then, one day, the mission ends. The unit dissolves. The soldier comes home to a world where no one moves the way he moves. No one thinks the way he thinks. No one understands the language that kept him alive. The wolf was built to protect balance. The world put him in a cage. The soldier was built to protect people. The world sent him home and left him there. Do you see it? Two beings, built for the same purpose, punished in the same way, carrying the same wound. The wound of being removed from the pack that gave your life meaning. The wound of being told that the thing you were made to do is the thing the world no longer wants from you. Is that why they recognize each other? I do not have the science to prove it, but I have the facts. And the facts say that when a wolf who was chained to a post in Alaska meets a man who has not spoken to another human being in months, something happens between them. Something that no clinical trial has been able to measure and no therapist has been able to replicate. Something that begins with silence. Jim Minnick served in the United States Navy for 10 years. He does not talk about what he saw overseas, not in detail. not the way people expect veterans to talk about it. What he talks about is what happened after, the coming home. The silence that replaced the brotherhood. The bottle that filled the space where purpose used to live. The slow, invisible collapse of a man who had spent a decade being part of something, and then, overnight, was part of nothing. Jim had tried the programs, the counseling, the groups, the approaches that work for many veterans,
Thank you for saying that.
and that he wished had worked for him. But the darkness had a way of outlasting every attempt to name it, of sitting in the corner of every room, of making the world feel like a place he no longer belonged to. In the documentary The War in Between, filmed by Italian director Riccardo Ferraris over the course of a full year at the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center, Jim opens up during a long drive back to Los Angeles. He speaks quietly, carefully, the way a man speaks when he is saying something for the first time. He says he reached a point where he could not see any light at all, where the only future he could imagine was no future. And then someone told him about a place in the mountains. A place with wolves. Jim arrived at the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center not knowing what to expect. He began working, feeding the animals, cleaning enclosures, fixing fences. No one asked him to talk about what happened to him. No one asked him to process anything. He just worked. Day after day, week after week. And then, without warning, a gray wolf named Keihei walked up to the fence where Jim was standing. A wolf who had spent years chained to a post in Alaska, who had every reason to fear humans, who had no obligation to trust anyone ever again. He did not run. He did not hide. He did not growl. He stayed. To understand why what happened between Jim and Keihei matters, why it is different from a man bonding with a golden retriever or a German shepherd, you need to understand one number: 15,000. That is approximately how many years ago a group of wolves began the slow process of becoming dogs. They followed human camps. They scavenged near fires. Over generations, the ones who tolerated humans survived longer, bred more, and passed those traits forward. 15,000 years of selection for a single trait above all others: the willingness to trust a human being. A dog loves you because its ancestors chose to. Thousands of years before either of you existed. That love is ancient. It is real. But it is, in a sense, inherited. A wolf carries none of that inheritance. A wolf is the animal that stayed behind when the dog walked toward the fire. A wolf does not read human facial expressions the way a dog does not respond to human vocal tones the way a dog does. does not seek human approval, human attention, human affection by default. A wolf is complete without you. A wolf does not need you. And that is exactly what makes its trust so extraordinary. When a dog accepts you, it is biology. When a wolf accepts you, it is a decision. Dr. Lauren Lindner, the psychologist who runs the sanctuary, puts it simply: domesticated animals are wonderful companions, but a wild animal does not have to let you in. It does not have to accept you into its world. And when it chooses to, when it looks at you and decides, without 15,000 years of programming telling it to, that you are worth its trust, that is something else entirely. For a man who has lost the ability to believe he is worthy of acceptance, a man who has been through so much darkness that he cannot imagine anyone choosing him, that distinction is everything. A dog will love you because that is what dogs do. A wolf will love you because it looked at you, measured you, and decided you were worth it. And at the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center, there is one more detail that changes everything. One wolf bonds with one veteran, only one. And once that bond is formed, it is permanent. That wolf will never show the same affection to another human being for as long as it lives. Think about what that means for someone who believed no one would ever choose them again. Juan served as a sniper in Afghanistan. His last name has never been published. What is known about him comes from a single source: the documentary The War in Between, where Italian filmmaker Riccardo Ferraris spent an entire year alongside him. And for the first several months of filming, Juan did not say a word. Not to the director, not to the other veterans, not to anyone. Ferraris would later say that he spent months beside Juan without receiving so much as a hello. The silence was not hostility. It was something deeper. It was the silence of someone who had used words for things that words should never be used for, and had decided, consciously or not, that he was done talking. The director realized over time that he was experiencing the same thing the wolves experienced when a new human entered their space. He had to be patient. He had to let Juan come to him. The same technique Matt Simmons taught every veteran who worked with the wolves. Do not approach, do not push, do not demand. Just be there and wait. At the sanctuary, Juan began the same quiet work every veteran begins. Feeding. Cleaning. Repairing. Moving through his days without speaking, without connecting, without showing any sign that this place was reaching him. And the wolves watched. One wolf in particular watched. Her name was Virginia. She was a pure wolf, not a hybrid, not a mix. She had been rescued as a pup from an animal control facility in Northern California, where she was scheduled to be destroyed. Her crime was the same as Wiley's: wolf DNA. She had been saved by minutes. Virginia did not approach Juan on the first day, or the first week, or the first month. She watched from across her enclosure the way wolves watch, still, careful, measuring. And Juan, a man trained to observe targets from distances most people cannot imagine, watched her back. And then, one day, Ferraris does not say which day, does not say which month, because the point is that no one was counting. Virginia walked across her enclosure. She pressed her snout into Juan's hand, and she stayed. The first living thing to touch Juan in months was not a human being. It was a wolf who had almost been killed for having wolf blood. Jim did not choose Kei-hei. Kei-hei chose Jim. That distinction matters more than it might seem. In a world where Jim had felt unchosen for years, where the systems meant to help him had not reached the place where the hurt lived, a wild animal looked at him and made a decision. Not out of instinct, not out of training, not because someone told it to, because of something that no one at the sanctuary can fully explain. Jim described the bond in the plainest language a man can use. He said, "These guys do not judge you. They do not care what you did before. They only care about who you are." And then he said something quieter, something that carries more weight the longer you sit with it. For me, it means a little more that this is an animal that is not normally friendly with humans. They are very shy. They stay away from humans at all costs. And here he is. I can walk down the side of the fence and call his name, and he comes running. Let that land. A wolf that spent years chained to a post. A wolf that was never held, never touched with kindness, never given a reason to believe that a human hand meant anything other than confinement. And when Jim calls his name, Kei-hei, open spaces, he comes running. Not walking, running. Jim would later say in the Great Big Story video that brought this sanctuary to millions of people, they kind of teach you how to be calm and confident. It has got some deeper meaning when they accept you. Deeper meaning. Those are the words of a man who is trying to describe something that language was not built for. The feeling of being chosen by a creature that owes you nothing. The feeling of belonging to something again, not a unit, not a program, not a system. A pack, a real one. One that does not require you to fill out paperwork or attend sessions or take a pill. One that just requires you to show up. And Jim showed up. Every day. And Kei-hei was there. Every day. Waiting. We told a story once on this channel about a black wolf in Alaska who chose to trust an entire town for 6 years. Romeo walked out of the wilderness and decided that humans were worth the risk. He played with their dogs. He followed their footsteps in the snow. He gave an entire community something they did not know they needed. Proof that the line between wild and tame is thinner than we think. But what happens at the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center is different. These wolves do not choose a community. They choose one person, only one. And they never choose again. There is something in that specificity that undoes you. The world tells the veteran, talk. Talk about what happened. Process it. Verbalize it. Name the pain. Attend the session. Fill the prescription. Come back next week. And for many veterans, this works. Therapy is real. Medication is real. The clinical approach saves lives every day. This is not a story that questions any of that. But for some, for those who have tried every door and found them all locked from the inside, the demand to speak is the very thing that keeps the door shut. Because some wounds do not have words. Some experiences exist in a place that language cannot reach. And when the world keeps asking you to translate something that has no translation, the silence gets louder. A wolf does not ask you to speak, does not ask you to explain, does not ask for a history or a diagnosis or a timeline. A wolf asks nothing, and in that absence of demand, in that silence, something opens. Someone once left a comment on this channel that I have never been able to forget. She was 80 years old, a survivor of deep, long-term trauma. She wrote that when she met a group of wild horses on an island, she was warned they might barely tolerate her. Instead, they offered her, for the first time in her entire life, complete acceptance. No conditions, no questions, just presence. She said that moment changed the next 40 years of her life. I think about her every time I read about what happens at this sanctuary. Because what these wolves offer is the same thing those horses offered her. Not understanding, not therapy, just acceptance. The kind that does not ask what you have done, only that you are here. Therapy asks you to speak. The wolf asks you to stay. And maybe the silence is where healing lives. Not every story at the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center begins and ends in a single year. Some stories are still being lived. Stan McDonald is a Navy veteran. He came to the sanctuary through the New Directions for Veterans Transitional Housing Program at the West Los Angeles. He was battling alcohol. He was battling the same invisible weight that every veteran at this sanctuary carries. He arrived expecting to stay for a while. He stayed for 15 years. Stan is the foreman of the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center. He is the man who wakes up before dawn and checks on every animal. Who knows which wolf ate that morning and which one did not? Who can tell by the sound of a howl whether it is greeting, warning, or grief? He is the proof that what happens here is not a temporary fix. It is a life. In 2023, the Department of Veterans Affairs published a profile of the sanctuary. In it, Stan said something that I have read a dozen times, and that still stops me. You are helping an animal that has been in a bad situation without realizing you have been in just as bad of one. Think about that. You show up to help something broken, and in the process of helping it, you discover that you were broken too, and that the act of caring for something else was the thing that healed you. Not a program, not a pill. The act of showing up for a creature that needed you. On Trust, Stan said, "You earn trust from one of these guys. It is a whole different story. Then, you learn how to trust again." And when asked which animal was his favorite, which wolf, which fox, which horse held the top spot, Stan said, "There is no favorite animal on this property to me, because they are all involved in my sobriety. All of them, every wolf, every coyote, every horse, every parrot. 15 years of sobriety, and every single animal on that property is part of it. Not one, all. That is not a program. That is a life rebuilt from the ground up, one feeding at a time, one morning at a time, one howl at a time." Not every wolf at the sanctuary learns to trust, and not every wolf gets enough time. Apache was rescued from a suburban backyard where he had been kept in a cage measuring roughly 10 feet by 10 feet on a concrete floor. No dirt, no grass, no sky beyond a wire ceiling. When he was confined, he was aggressive, snarling, lunging. A wall of teeth and fury that confirmed every myth the world has ever told about wolves. And then they opened the cage at the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center. And Apache felt dirt beneath his paws for the first time. And the aggression did not disappear, but something shifted. The wolf, who had been monster inside 4 concrete walls, became something else entirely when the walls came down. In the Animal Planet series Wolves and Warriors, a veteran named Josh was assigned to build a relationship with Apache. It was not easy. Apache tested him, challenged him, refused to cooperate on some days, and offered a glimpse of connection on others. The cameras captured all of it. The setbacks, the small victories. The long days where nothing seemed to change. And the brief moments where everything did. And then Apache was diagnosed with cancer. And then Apache died. The sanctuary mourned him the way a family mourns, because that is what he was, not a project, not a case study, a member of the pack. And every veteran who had worked with him, every caregiver who had earned a fraction of his trust, felt the loss in a place that had nothing to do with logic, and everything to do with love. There is a lesson in Apache that the sanctuary carries with it. The bond does not need to last forever to matter. A wolf can live at the sanctuary for 2 years or 12 years, and the impact on the human who cared for it does not shrink with the calendar. Because the healing was never about the wolf surviving. It was about the veteran learning, day by day, that he was capable of caring for something fragile, and that the fragile thing trusted him enough to let him try. Apache did not get enough time. But the time he had was enough. the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center does not end at the fence line. In the mountains and forests of Montana, far from the California sanctuary, a program called Wolf Guard operates in near-total silence. Veterans who have graduated from the sanctuary, who have healed enough to carry a new mission, travel to remote wilderness areas to protect wild wolves from illegal trapping, poisoning, and poaching. They patrol. They document. They stand between the wolf and the world that wants it dead. Jim and Juan traveled to Montana together. It was the first time either of them had seen a wild wolf. Not behind a fence. Not chained to a post. Free. Moving across a snowscape with the kind of grace that makes you understand, in a single breath, why this animal has been worshipped and feared for 10,000 years. And then came the moment that the documentary captures, and that I cannot stop thinking about. Juan, the former sniper, the man who did not speak for months, the man who had spent his military career looking through a scope at targets, peers through the viewfinder of a tranquilizer rifle. On the other end is a wild wolf, trotting across the snow, unaware anyone is watching. In another life, Juan would be shooting to kill. That was what he was trained for. That was what his hands knew. That was the skill that defined him for years, and that haunted him for years after. But on this day, in this snow, with this rifle, Juan is there to protect. The scope that once meant death now means life. The hands that once took are now giving. And the wolf on the other end of that viewfinder will never know that the man watching over it was once the most dangerous thing in any room he entered. The man who could not find a reason to speak found a reason to protect. That is the title of the video that brought Jim's story to the world. 5 words on a screen. Living with Wolves Saved My Life. A title that sounds like it belongs in a fairy tale and does not. In the video, produced by Great Big Story and later shared by CNN, Jim looks into the camera and says, "Drinking myself to death could have been the last chapter of my life." He does not say it with drama. He does not say it with tears. He says it with the calm of a man who has already walked through the fire and come out the other side. The way someone describes a storm they survived from the safety of a warm room. And then he says, they kind of teach you how to be calm and confident. They, the wolves. Not a therapist. Not a counselor. Not a fellow veteran in a support group. Wolves. Animals who cannot speak, cannot diagnose, cannot prescribe. Animals who can only do one thing, be present and choose. Jim is no longer at the darkest point of his life. He is in Montana, protecting wild wolves. The man who almost lost everything is now standing in the snow making sure that wolves who look like Kehei, who carry the same wildness that Kehei carries, get to live. The inversion is complete. The soldier who was trained for combat now protects. The wolf who was chained now runs free in the spirit of every wild wolf Jim guards. They saved each other. Not with words, not with programs. With presence, with patience. With the simple, ancient act of showing up for something that needed you and discovering that you needed it more. Juan, too, found his way forward. By the end of the documentary, the man who would not speak has a full-time job and a life he sees as worth living. The director, Ferraris, summarized the entire film in a single sentence. He said, "In the end, I decided I would tell them. It is a love story between wolves and men." Every true story has a moment where the beauty cracks, where something breaks that cannot be unbroken, and the honest storyteller has to decide, do I tell this or do I pretend it never happened? I am going to tell it. A true story does not get to choose which parts are beautiful. In April of 2020, Matt Simmons, the Navy veteran who co-founded the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center, who rescued Wiley from that steel table, who built the Warriors and Wolves program from nothing, was arrested. Law enforcement found 14 illegal firearms at his residence, including assault-style weapons. As a convicted felon, he was prohibited from possessing any of them. He is no longer affiliated with the sanctuary. That is the fact. It is documented. It is public, and it would be dishonest to tell this story without it. But here is what happened next. And this is the part that matters for every wolf and every veteran on that property. Nothing stopped. Dr. Lauren Lindner, the psychologist who had been there from the very beginning, who created Serenity Park before wolves were ever part of the picture, who built the therapeutic framework that made the program work, took full leadership as president and CEO. She receives no compensation, not $1. The wolves stayed. The veterans stayed. The healing continued. Sometimes the people who build extraordinary things are themselves broken in ways they cannot fix. The program that Simmons helped create survived its founder because the program was always bigger than any one person. The wolves do not need a perfect leader. They need land. They need care. They need time. And the veterans do not need a flawless hero. They need what the wolves give them. And the wolves are still there. And so is Dr. Lindner. And so is the mission. Charity Navigator gives the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center a 96% rating. 4 stars out of 4, the highest level of transparency and accountability. The foundation cracked. The house held. There is a line on the sanctuary's website that describes the wolf-dog hybrids in their care. It reads, "One of an increasing number of trophy pets or designer dogs, wolf dogs face a dilemma. Am I a wolf or am I a dog?" Read that again. Am I a wolf or am I a dog? It is the central question of every animal at this sanctuary. The wolf dog is not fully wild, not fully domesticated, too wild for a living room, too tame for a forest, rejected by both worlds. The wolf community does not accept it. The dog community does not want it. It exists in between, belonging nowhere, understood by no one. Now listen to this, also from the sanctuary's own words. More often than not, a returning soldier who wrestles with being a killer or a father can find a compatible soul in the wolf dog who struggles with being a dog or a wolf, a killer or a father, a wolf or a dog. The veteran comes home from combat carrying two identities that the civilian world insists cannot coexist. He was trained to do things that fathers are not supposed to do. He was hardened in ways that husbands are not supposed to be hardened. He carries reflexes that do not belong in a kitchen, in a school parking lot, in a church. He is too changed for the world he left, and too human for the world he served in. He exists in between. The wolf dog understands, not because it was taught to, because it lives the same contradiction. This is perhaps the deepest reason why the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center works. It is not only that the wolf and the veteran share a wound, it is that they share an identity crisis. They are both creatures caught between two versions of themselves. And, at this sanctuary, no one asks them to choose. No one says, be the soldier or be the father. Be the wolf or be the dog. No one asks them to resolve the contradiction. They are simply allowed to exist as they are. Both things at once. Whole and broken. Wild and gentle. Dangerous and kind. And in that permission, the permission to be both, the healing begins. Every story has someone behind it who never gets the credit. Someone who was there before the cameras, before the headlines, before anyone knew the name. This is about her. There is a woman at the center of this story who has not received the attention she deserves. Dr. Lauren Lindner is a clinical psychologist and public health educator. She has spent her career studying the space between species, the place where human pain and animal pain overlap, and where the healing of one becomes the healing of the other. She is not a celebrity. She is not a television personality. She is the person who shows up at dawn and stays past dark, who signs the rescue paperwork and coordinates the veterinary care and answers the emails from veterans who have run out of places to turn. Before wolves, there were parrots. In 2005, Lindner created Serenity Park at the West Los Angeles VA, a sanctuary where traumatized veterans cared for traumatized parrots. Birds that had been abused, abandoned, neglected. Birds that screamed and bit and destroyed their own feathers from stress. She paired them with veterans and watched something that clinical textbooks did not predict. The veterans stopped focusing on their own pain because they were too busy caring for something else's. The healing was not the goal. The healing was the side effect. She wrote a book about it, Birds of a Feather. In it, she describes the philosophy that would eventually lead to the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center. Having a relationship with an animal is having a relationship. The trust is crucial. After the shock of a war, soldiers realize that they can have a pure connection. A pure connection. That is what she built. First with parrots, then with wolves. And when the co-founder left, when the headlines hit, when the foundation cracked, she stayed. She took over as president and CEO. She receives no salary, not a dollar. Every cent goes to the animals and the veterans. She does not do this for attention. She does it because she saw decades ago something that most of the world has not caught up to yet. That the connection between humans and animals is not sentimental. It is not decorative. It is not a nice addition to real therapy. It is therapy. It is medicine. It is, for some people, the only thing that works. The Lockwood Animal Rescue Center exists today because of Lauren Lindner. The wolves are alive because of her. The veterans are healing because of her. And if you have been moved by anything you have heard in this story, her name is the one you should remember. There is a passage on the sanctuary's website that reads like something carved into stone. I have read it many times. It says this: "The wolf has been responsible for keeping the balance in nature for tens of thousands of years. As a top predator, the wolf speaks up for all the other species in the ecosystem. The veteran, much like the wolf, travels to places most people will never see and does what is asked of him. The veteran, much like the wolf, carries the weight of things that others do not have to carry. And here is where it lands. The wolf protects the environment and is slaughtered. The veteran protects the country and is forgotten. Both serve to protect us all. We told you once about a grizzly bear the size of a squirrel who was born in a steel box and grew up to build a sanctuary that saved every bear who came after him. Brutus was not born to be saved. He was born to be the reason others were saved. The wolves of the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center are the same. They were not rescued to become healers, but by being saved, they save. This is the truth that this story has been building toward. The world built the wolf to protect balance. And then it chained the wolf to a post, locked it in a cage, poisoned it from helicopters, bred it for fur, and destroyed it for existing. The world built the soldier to protect the innocent. And then it sent the soldier home, closed the door, handed him a pamphlet, and moved on to the next news cycle. Two beings, same purpose, same punishment, same wound, the wound of being made for something the world needed, and then being told that what you are is no longer welcome. And in the silence between them, a silence that no therapist could fill, that no medication could reach, that no program could schedule, they found the only thing that heals. Not someone who understands the pain, someone who carries it. A wolf who was chained to a post does not understand what a battlefield looks like. A veteran does not understand what it means to be bred in a wire cage. But they both know what it feels like to be built for something, used for it, and then thrown away. They both know the weight of living in a world that made you, and then decided it did not want you anymore. And when Keihei pressed his nose against the fence where Jim was standing, when Virginia walked across the enclosure and touched Juan's hand, they were not performing therapy. They were not executing a program. They were recognizing something, the way two strangers in a foreign country recognize the same accent, the way two survivors in a crowd find each other without speaking. They were saying, I know. I know what it costs. And I am still here. The Lockwood Animal Rescue Center is still open, still operating, still rescuing wolves that no one else will take, still welcoming veterans that the system could not reach. Nearly 100 animals live on those 20 acres. Wolves, wolf dogs, coyotes, foxes, horses, parrots, and more. Each one carries a name. Each one carries a story. The property is still closed to the public, still surrounded by 3,000 acres of wilderness, still invisible from the road. Dr. Lindner still runs it. The veterans still arrive, a few each year, carefully selected, because the sanctuary can only take so many. Each one submits an application. Each application is a life asking for a chance. And the waiting list is long. The documentary, The War in Between, is still available. The Animal Planet series, Wolves and Warriors, is still streaming. The Great Big Story video has been shared millions of times. And somewhere in Montana, veterans trained at this sanctuary are still patrolling the wilderness, protecting wild wolves from traps and poison and the same hatred that nearly wiped the species from the continent. Since 2001, more than 120,000 American veterans have lost the battle that no one trains you for. The battle to find a reason to keep going after the war ends. That number is documented. It is real, and it is larger than the total American combat deaths in every conflict since Vietnam combined. For every one of those lives, there was a moment. A single moment where something, someone, could have made the difference. At the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center, wolves are making that difference. Not for all, but for some. And when each life is everything, some is everything. I hesitated to tell this story. It is heavier in some places than other stories we have told on this channel. But real stories do not come with scripts. They do not ask permission to be complicated. They simply exist. And if they are not told, they will not be remembered. And these wolves, these veterans, deserve to be remembered. Nothing broken fixes itself. A wolf chained to a post in Alaska does not heal on its own. A man carrying a darkness he cannot name does not find the light by waiting. Broken things stay broken. That is the rule. That is the way the world works. Except here. On 20 acres in the mountains of California, surrounded by 3,000 acres of silence, two broken things found each other, and they healed. Not because someone designed a program for it, not because a study proved it would work, not because anyone involved had a plan or a budget or a guarantee, but because they were both still capable of the one thing that the world had tried to take from them. They were still capable of feeling, still capable of trust, still capable of love. A gray wolf named Keihei, born in captivity, chained to a post, denied the most basic right of every wolf that has ever lived, the right to belong to a pack, chose a man named Jim. A man who had served his country for 10 years and come home to a silence so deep he could not find his way out. Keihei did not ask Jim what he had done, did not ask where he had been, did not ask why the darkness followed him into every room. He walked up to the fence. He stayed. And in staying, he said the only thing that mattered: you belong here. A pure wolf named Virginia, rescued as a pup minutes from being destroyed for the crime of being what she was, chose a man named Juan. A former sniper who had not spoken to another living thing in months. She pressed her snout into his hand, and in that touch, she told him something that no human being had been able to tell him. You are worth choosing. And Stan, Navy veteran, 15 years sober, still wakes before dawn, still checks on every animal, still carries every wolf, every coyote, every horse in his sobriety like stones in a cathedral wall. Remove one, and the structure trembles. From unexpected places, the cure arrives, not from where you were looking, not from what you were told would work, from a wolf, from a snout pressed against a hand, from the silence between two creatures who share the same wound, and do not need to name it. This story is real. Jim is real. Juan is real. Stan is real. Keihei is real. Virginia is real. Dr. Lindner is real. The sanctuary is real. And if you are watching this, and you know someone who is carrying a weight they cannot put down, a veteran, a first responder, anyone who served and came home changed, the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center is in Frazier Park, California. They are still there. The wolves are still choosing. Because some stories deserve to be told again and again, until the whole world knows that a wolf who was chained to a post and a soldier who had lost his way home chose each other. And that choice saved them both. And that is what makes a heart wild.